What if the random sexual urge you felt today, out of nowhere, completely unprompted, wasn't about sex at all? You weren't watching anything, you weren't thinking anything, and then suddenly, it hit. And you thought, where did that even come from? Stay with me, because what's actually happening inside your brain in that moment is fascinating, and understanding it might completely change how you see yourself. Welcome back. Today we're talking about something every single person experiences, but almost nobody explains properly. Sudden, unexpected sexual urges. Why they happen, what they actually mean, and what to do when they show up at the worst possible time. This isn't taboo, this is neuroscience. Let's get into it. Here's the first thing you need to know. Sexual arousal can begin in less than 2 seconds. That's faster than a blink, faster than a conscious thought. Your brain doesn't wait for your permission. Deep inside your brain sits a tiny structure called the hypothalamus. Think of it as a 24/7 sensor, constantly scanning your environment for anything that signals pleasure, safety, or attraction. A familiar scent, a certain tone of voice, a memory that flashes for half a second. Your hypothalamus catches it before your conscious mind even registers it happened, and the moment it does, it sends a signal. Dopamine, your brain's reward chemical, floods your system almost instantly. Your body starts responding, and only then do you think, wait, what was that? That's why these urges feel like they come from nowhere. They don't. They come from somewhere your conscious awareness hasn't caught up to yet. Here's what makes this even more interesting. Research shows that simply imagining touch activates nearly 80% of the same brain regions as actual physical touch. That's why a fleeting thought, a brief memory, or even a random emotional moment can trigger a real physical response. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. You're not broken. You're not weak. You simply have a very responsive brain. Now here's where things get really interesting, and honestly, this part surprises most people. Not every sexual urge is actually about sex. Think about when these urges tend to hit the hardest. When you're stressed, when you're lonely, when you're bored, when you're exhausted, or when you feel emotionally disconnected. Sound familiar? There's a reason for that. Your brain's reward system doesn't only crave physical pleasure, it craves comfort. And when you're running low on emotional fuel, your brain starts looking for the fastest shortcut to feel good again. Sexual thoughts and fantasies can become what psychologists sometimes describe as a dopamine snack, a quick mental escape that promises temporary relief from whatever heaviness you're carrying. On top of that, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, during both sexual intimacy and emotional closeness. A warm conversation, a long hug, feeling understood. Even certain emotional movie scenes can activate similar pathways in your brain. So if you suddenly feel aroused during a moment of emotional warmth, it might not actually mean you want sex. It might mean you're craving connection, closeness, safety, the feeling of being emotionally seen. Psychologists call this misattribution of arousal. Your body's signals for stress relief, emotional comfort, and attraction all travel through overlapping systems in the brain. When you're overwhelmed, those signals can blur together. Your brain isn't malfunctioning, it's simply searching for relief. And sometimes, the fastest path it recognizes looks like desire. Now let's talk about something that frustrates a lot of people. You feel the urge, and you're in the middle of something important, studying, working, focusing, and you tell yourself, not now, stop thinking about it. But instead of disappearing, the thought gets stronger. Here's why. When you try to force a thought away, your brain actually increases its monitoring of that thought to make sure it stays gone. Ironically, that monitoring keeps the thought active. This is known as the ironic process effect. The harder you try not to think about something, the more attention your brain gives to it. So fighting the urge aggressively can sometimes make it louder. These urges are biological signals, not moral failures. Your brain evolved over millions of years to keep these drives active and noticeable. That's survival programming running quietly in the background of modern life. Willpower alone rarely shuts it down, but awareness can redirect it. And this is where the most powerful part of your brain comes in, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making, self-control, and awareness. And here's the key. It works best when you acknowledge the urge instead of trying to crush it. Think of an urge like a phone ringing. You can't stop the sound by pretending the phone doesn't exist, but you can look at it, see who's calling, and decide whether to answer or let it ring. That decision is where your power lives. When an urge appears unexpectedly, try a simple 3-step reset. First, pause. Don't react immediately. Just notice the feeling without judging it. Second, ask yourself a question. What is my brain actually trying to tell me right now? Are you tired, stressed, lonely, bored, overstimulated? Sometimes the urge is simply a signal that something else in your life needs attention. Third, redirect. Take a few deep breaths. Stand up and move your body. Drink water. Write down what you're feeling. Even naming the emotion out loud activates your rational brain and gives that energy somewhere healthier to go. You're not suppressing the urge, you're understanding it. And that shift, from automatic reaction to conscious awareness, is what real self-control looks like. So the next time a sexual urge hits out of nowhere, don't panic, and don't shame yourself. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Those urges don't define you, they don't control you, they are simply signals. And the moment you learn to understand those signals clearly, you stop feeling hijacked by them. Remember this one idea. You are not your urges. You are the one observing them. And that awareness is where your real control begins. If this helped you understand yourself better, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And tell me in the comments, have you ever noticed your urges getting stronger during certain moods, moments, or situations? Your experience might help someone else realize they're not alone. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.